All right. So again, welcome to our Canvas training. Hopefully you guys have roles to support students in Canvas. And this could be from counselors to deans to principals to iGrad to librarians to ELL, special ed. Any of those roles are perfectly fine here. TAs, and I think really anybody jumping on will pick up something new, or at least valuable for their positions. But we will not, again, kind of cover in-depth content creation. It's more of how to check in on students, what teachers have access to, and all of that good stuff. So welcome. Rhonda Laswell and Amber Wolf are also kind of co-piloting this. So we will kind of share off, and Amber is going to kind of help with the chat and make sure that we're answering your questions. So that is one piece here. Make sure you do put in questions in the chat as they come up, and we'll stop and answer those as we go along. Today's goals are relatively basic in terms of getting to know Canvas, but that first is just navigating it. How do I get in? How do I know what to do and where to go and find students and find courses? So we want to make sure you're comfortable with that. Another piece that we've used It's Learning a ton for is just communication. So what does that look like in Canvas? How is it used? How can I communicate with teachers and students? There are not students in the platform right now, but that will start next school year. But you should be able to message teachers that you work with. And then also searching for courses and students. Some of you probably have dozens of students with dozens of class, and that is a lot to manage. So making sure you can effectively navigate in Canvas to find people and courses, and then also to explore the gradebook. The gradebook finally is tied to PowerSchool and will pass back and forth, and what that looks like and how we're going to use that moving forward. But grades and assignments are obviously going to be an important piece as we move forward. So Canvas. What is Canvas? It is our K through 12 district-wide learning management system. So it's an online learning platform. It is by far the most widely used platform in the state, not only for K-12, but also through post-secondary ed. I think Purdue and maybe one other state school are the only ones not using it at this time. So a lot of our teacher candidates come in having used it as well. So Canvas is a very familiar platform with a lot of other schools that we can learn from as well. And it just provides lots and lots of options for an online environment to support UDL. It's extremely accessible, much more accessible than, let's say, a piece of paper. And just know that, again, this will get migrated this summer for students into a fully usable platform for hopefully many, many years to come. We have a multi-year agreement with Canvas, so we're excited to get started with everyone. This is a QR code for the doc, so just be aware that if you want to scan it and get this slide deck, again, there are lots and lots of pieces there. We do have a chat just before we transfer over that's saying they can't hear anything. I'm not sure, is anybody else having those issues? Please put those in the chat if you are, but it may be, there's a little arrow next to your microphone that you can select a speaker. So there's a little caret next to the, I can't show it on the screen, but next to your mic in Zoom, that should allow you to kind of test. I don't see anybody else. So I'm going to stop sharing here and we'll watch that. And then Rhonda, carry it away.
Thank you, Nick. I'm changing over to my second screen. I have multiples going here myself, so I just need a quick second.
It looks like other users can hear. So hopefully if you can't hear, we can get that sorted out.
Yes, and it is being recorded, so worst case scenario, you could go back if you needed to, for sure. Again, we have the QR code, and let me flip back to that real quick here so you can see that. If you want to follow along, you're welcome to, but do not feel like you have to. It's just an option for you if you so choose. I realize that you may not have the ability right now based on your screen and technology options to watch the actual Zoom and listen to it and be in your slide deck. So, and this is really a virtual field trip for you. We're just providing you with an opportunity to see some things and to get introduced. This is not a one and done. We will be providing other trainings at later times between now and next fall for you as well. Hopefully by now, the first thing we're going to talk about is signing in, and hopefully by now the vast majority of you have had the opportunity to do that. It is going to be a much more streamlined process and much easier to do because we have single sign-on now. So that means that if you are in Google and you are in your BCSE credentials and you have your sync turned on, signing in is going to be super, super easy. I know there's a very small group out there that has not received a sign-in username password option sent to you yet. We are working on getting all of that finalized. For those of you that are in multiple buildings, it's a little more challenging, but once we get that worked out, everybody else should be able to do that now. So after today, if you haven't tried that, please do that and let your tech titan in your building or UDL facilitator know so that we can make sure we troubleshoot any of those problems. So the different ways that you can sign in are, first and foremost, you could go to the website, and that's at bcseinstructure.com. That is one option. And since you have a copy of these slides, all of the hyperlinks that are embedded in the slides you can use too. So at a later time, you can just go in and click on these things as well. But what you'll want to do is make sure that you are signed in, as I said before. And if you look up here, I'm looking to see, okay, I'm in as Laswell R, so that means I'm in with my BCSE credentials. You may have a Gmail you use for personal things. I do as well. You can see it's right here, and you would not want to be on that one because it's not going to recognize you as a BCSE employee. The other thing that you'll need to have turned on, and you can just double check real quick, and that's by clicking above the person for your credentials here, is that you want to be able to see that your sync is turned on, and your sync needs to be turned on so that everything is talking together in the Google Suite. Okay, so those two things are done. You're going to be sitting pretty good. Now, there are a couple other ways you can get in, and we've even added an easier way since the last time that we chatted a couple weeks ago. And the first one is under bookmarks. Canvas has now been added under bookmarks, so you can simply go there. Super easy at the top. But you can also, if you're one of those that likes to rely on the drive and the waffle over here and how everything integrates into your apps, you can certainly go over here and you can just scroll down and find Canvas, and you can go in from here as well. So a couple different options. What's great about the single sign-on is that once your credentials are in, there's really nothing major you have to do to get in. Just click on your BCSE and it brings you straight into your dashboard, and immediately you're up and running and ready to go. No more need to do multiple passwords and layers and levels to do that. I'm going to be toggling back and forth between the slides and being in Canvas, so I'll try not to make that too clunky as we go forward here. There's also an animated tutorial embedded in the slides too. If you need to refer to it at a later time, by all means, feel free to do that. And then there is another way to get access, and that is through an actual app that you can download on your phone. And so you can simply do that by going to the App Store. Anyone can do that. And the only thing that you need to keep in mind if you do decide to do that is you will not actually, it'll say find my school when you go in and you download it. You don't need to do that. You just need to put in Bartholomew. It will recognize you based on Bartholomew, and it will get you in and sync you to the right place. So no problems there. You don't have to put it, that's especially helpful for people who are in multiple buildings as well. You just put in Bartholomew and you're good to go. It will ask you again though to make sure you're signed in with your Google BCSE credentials. And once you do that, then you should be good to go. Now, one thing that we do want to note and mention is that if you are utilizing the app, there are a few features that you will not be able to do that are available to you in the regular. And that is simply the editing, publishing, and creating of modules. But you can go in and do a whole host of other things, especially just looking things up and viewing things and messaging and that sort of thing. So the things that you would expect to be able to do on your handheld device. The other great thing is that, you know, students, parents, and teachers and staff members can all use the app if they so choose. Also, something else we wanted just to point out real quick is that at the bottom of all of the slides, if you do decide to go in and review the slide deck again, are a host of links that are available to you at the very bottom in the speaker notes section on many of the slides as well. So you will have extra resources above and beyond what we're sharing with you today that you could go back in and refer to if you do a little bit more snooping around in there. So we're going to start with just some basic navigation. Getting to know some of the major components of the platform, and one is your account, and that's where you will have your profile picture and you'll be able to customize your notifications and just see and access different things there. So I'm going to toggle back to the dashboard here, and if we go into account and we go into profile, you can see here that I have put in a picture. I have put in just a little biography. You could also add other information here as far as contact info and links that you would like to have stored. But all of that is housed here under the account. Remember, we're here at account on the dashboard and we're looking at profile. Okay. All of this can be edited by simply going up here to the edit profile button, and that gives you the option to go in, change picture, change your biography, and set your personal contact piece up, however you so choose to do it. Okay, next, we're still under account, but we're going to go into settings. And under settings, we're going to be looking at some other options that you have for setting things up. So the things we're going to be looking at here are things that would allow you to turn on closed captioning, be able to get into course setup tutorials, high contrast for individuals who may have issues with vision. And then we always want to make sure too that we are allowing for our immersive reader right here to be turned on, because that will allow a whole host of accessibility features to be enabled when you're in using your platform, but it will also allow you the opportunity to see if a kiddo doesn't have this turned on and you're working with a kiddo, that may be something you want to make sure that they have available to them. All right, now we're going to go to notifications. We're still again in account, but now we're going to notifications. You'll notice when mine pops up here, I have two columns. You may only have one column right now if you would go into yours, and that's because push notifications don't come up unless you have downloaded the app. I've done that, so I have that extra layer that I can add as far as notifications go. And this will be a great place for you to be able to customize your notifications for different topics. Students can also have options for getting messages, assignments, deadlines, feedback, scores. Just really can set it up to do all kinds of things depending on how frequently you want those things to happen and for different courses. All right, so now we're going to go back and we're going to actually go to the main landing page or dashboard at this time. And there is something that's important to point out here. There is a difference between the two, and I am going to go back to the slides real quick because I do want to show this specific difference. Here we go. So there is a classic view, and we would also call that our secondary view, or there is a homeroom view. We would call that our elementary view. So our secondary schools are going to be set up for classic view. Our elementary are going to be set up for the homeroom view. And there is a little bit of terminology that's different, and the pages do look just a little different. So the differences in terminology are instead of dashboard for the elementary, it'll be called home. And instead of courses, it'll be called subjects. And then the navigation to get basic information for the classic view is going to be vertical, and for the elementary is going to be horizontal. So I'm going to go into mine and show you right now. I have my information over here. My notifications and feedback section is vertically located, as you can see here, and mine says courses. But I can simply go up here and change the view. I can go into homeroom view, and now you're going to see it looks a little more elementary. You can see the font is different, and the information that I'm going to be looking to pop in and out of from my dashboard or my home screen is going to be across the top. So that's the biggest differences between the two there as far as navigation goes, and you can easily just toggle back and forth between the two depending on what your actual preference is, and then you'll know what your students are doing as well. So another thing with the dashboard is the tiles, and you're seeing all of those here, some highlighted. Some have been published, some have not. So these are all the different courses that are showing up on my landing page or my dashboard. So a tile for each course will appear. And again, every time you sign in, you'll immediately land on the dashboard. That'll work the same for the students. And we'll take them right to whatever's going on that they need to be aware of right away. Will be right in front of them, which is really a great easy way to navigate. So also too, a couple of things that are important to point out when we're talking about the navigation is that they will get to see anything coming up, and that could be anything within the next week that's going to be an assignment. They're also going to get notifications here, but they're also going to get notifications of any recent feedback. So if they've turned something in and the teacher has submitted back to them something, they can see, and very easily they would be able to click on it. I don't have any courses that I'm actively taking any content in right now, so I don't have anything there, but that's where all of that would appear for them, which is really great. And then from here too, they can very easily just pop on view grades and take a look at their grades from here. And Nick's going to cover quite a bit more about that in his section under content. Trying to think if there's anything I'm missing there, but I think that's good for the dashboard. On the secondary view, the dashboard can be customized, so you can change color, you can color coordinate. So if you have a kiddo who wants all their science to be green, could color coordinate that, and they could coordinate that with their folders. So they do have you have a few more options on the secondary version or the classic view than you do for the elementary or the homeroom view. Okay, so now we're going to pop down here to courses, and we're going to see that the courses are now done in a little more slimline fashion, linear here. You can star and highlight certain courses, and that will allow you to just provide a shorthand view. Your favorite courses can then be starred so that they can show up on your dashboard. If you don't see a course, but you know that you are enrolled in it, you may just need to star it. All right, next on our list over here, as we're looking at the navigation from the side, is the calendar. I think this is a feature that you will use probably more and more as time goes. What's really great is you have the option to look at a weekly view or monthly view, which is really great. And then if students have upcoming assignments from a certain course, they're going to show up here. You can also, again, here, customize with color, and then those will show up for them and give them a real nice visual of a month. So that would be really great thinking about projects coming up or certain assignments or some of the end of the semester assessments and things like that. They could get a really good visual view, and it would probably help them with their executive functioning skills as well to be able to see that. As far as advice and information around utilizing this, it's going to remind you a lot of the Google Calendar. Again, it's customizable with the colors. And the one thing that I think is important to point out, though, if you are someone who's going to be creating any kind of content, that Brenny and Nick would not recommend you use this as a place to, so up here you can create a new event. They would ask that you not use this to create a lesson or an assignment, because it's not going to put it in the same proper order that it would if you were inside course creation. And so they just ask that you not use it, that feature, as it might be a little confusing. Okay, so we've looked at our account, our profile, we've looked at the dashboard and courses. I probably ought to stop real quick and see if we have any major questions that need to be answered related to any of those things.
I think we're good.
Okay, then we're going to move into history. And here, you're going to be able to see a summary of your recent activity, which is really great. The recent course tabs that you visited, but also content that you've edited or content you've deleted. So not that you're ever doing 500 things at one time, but if you do get distracted and then you're like, where was I? What did I do last? Or you accidentally did delete something and didn't want to, right? You know that you could always go to your recent history and be able to have access to all of that information, and very easily just get back into the things that you've done, you know, in the last 15 or 20 minutes and get right back up on track and pick up where you left off. So never have to worry about forgetting where you've been or what you've done. You can always go into history and check that out. And then I think finally, I personally really appreciate the help component of this. I know with It's Learning, even though I was here from the beginning and inception of It's Learning here at BCSC, a lot of the tutorials and things that It's Learning has used and populated out and shared has actually been content that was created by BCSC, a lot of it probably by Brenny. So while that's all nice and well, when we have questions, we need answers too. So what I really like about this is they have just an amazing set of resources here available for their help desk, and it's everything from training portals to guided tutorials and videos. There's an entire Canvas community where you can find resources and ask questions, and then also an option for 360 requests for technical issues at some point as well. And note that the help area is available to all of you, not just teachers or those creating content, but anybody. And then anything up and coming that's going to be released soon, you have it. It's kind of like a catch-all for information. Kind of anything Canvas is available here for you as well. So any questions up to this point on navigation? I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Chat's been pretty quiet, so we will keep moving. And again, if you do have questions that come up, feel free to ask and we'll stop and answer those. But I think we're all learning a lot today together too. Okay. Thanks, Rhonda. So as we get into this next part, it's more of kind of the content within the courses. So I will say that it'll be difficult, just kind of like navigation of going back and forth between the presentation and actually showing you, because that's what we want to do. But I'll do my best, as Rhonda did, kind of making sure that we're covering all of that information. So the next kind of goal here, past navigation, is communication. So how do we communicate with students and teachers within this platform? And again, the app is absolutely fantastic. We hear stories from other districts about how students can be fully productive in the app, and we anticipate that communication will be the same as that. So the biggest difference between Canvas and its learning and communication is that this has an inbox, or it's called inbox, and it is much more like email than a chat, which is what we've kind of seen in its learning. So hopefully that will reduce some of the back and forth kind of chatter between students if they were able to do that. But I just wanted to make sure you show that's a classic view. This is the homeroom view. It's still an inbox for both elementary and secondary, so just be aware of that. And if you click on the inbox, there will be your threads of messages. And again, I don't have very many of this at this point, but I'm sure this will all add up over the years. You can search by courses, so by favorite course, main courses, all of those that come up. You can search your inbox, your unread, stars, sent, archived. So just be aware that there are options, very much again like in an email, that you can categorize what you're looking at. And then the compose button is over here on the right, which we'll go into here in a minute. So part of the assignment was to send messages to me. So here's one from David Clark, principal at Columbus North. And all of these options come up. So I can reply all, I can archive or delete up here. So just know that there are options there. So if I do click reply, again, up top or down low, it will bring up his name. And you'll notice that it is a very simple text box here. There's not a lot of options for adding anything else besides text, except for we can attach files. So within this, we have the paperclip, which we can go into our files locally and upload to and send to them, or you can create or upload a video. So students can also reply in video or send attachments as well. So the other nice part about this is if we just create a message here, you do have options just to go to a course. So if I pick my course with, again, could have potentially hundreds of students, you can select all of the students or ones in particular, or send it to all students. You can put the subject in, but let's say you don't want them all replying on the same thread. There's a simple button here that says send an individual message to each recipient, and that will send the message off. There are also built-in ways here just to message students that are missing an assignment, and that will be in a course, or that may be struggling. So there are some easy ways to send these blind copy messages to students so that they're only replying to themselves or to you and not the whole group. But you could also send them to all of them, and that's same as staff in there as well. So the messaging tool, again, very much like email, more so than kind of text messaging threads. And again, they will have access to this on an app if they use it, or on their device. So that is the communication tool within here. And again, there are guides within this Google Doc that you can use to just kind of refresh yourself there. All right, so now we are going to jump into courses and content within the platform. There are templates that are going to be sent out that all courses should look the same when you come in. And unlike It's Learning that has multiple ways to organize a course, there really is only one way to do it in here, which hopefully will help parents and all the educators that support students in here be easily navigating between whether it's a kindergarten class or a middle school class or a high school class. So let's jump in to a course here. Courses, again, if they're published, will show up here, but courses do have to be published. You can click on all courses to see all of your courses as we've talked about, but I'll jump in this sample world history course, which Brenny has built out. So on this, there will be a landing page. And again, for the classes that we push out, we'll have a template to it. You have navigation options on the left. You may not see all of those because I have access in here that some of you don't. but you can see this little eye that's hidden. Those are ones that are not published and students can't see. And then on the right, there are options to import different contents from other courses that you may have or from the Commons. So every year, courses will archive. You can bring in information here and teachers can do that. You can also look at some data in here as well. New announcements, there's to-do lists and feedback all along the right-hand side. And just notice again, there are lots and lots of options to embed multimedia to make this designed well for all users, and again, use lots of images and graphics. So this is a page within a course. And again, we're not going to get a lot into course content creation, but we feel it's very important that you know what students have access to and teachers have access to when they are building in here. So the universal tool for all of this is the Rich Content Editor, and that is the icon bar all along the top here. And again, I think most of us are pretty familiar with some of these tools and icons. So we can look at size, headings, bold, italicize, underline, all of these text options, but then we can hyperlink images or text. So Brenny has a couple here, and including these images that are hyperlinked out. You can bring in images, upload from the course already, or otherwise. You can also bring in video tools, so I can record myself, or you can bring in YouTube content or just local videos, maybe Screencastify videos to embed here. There are other options like documents. It also has an icon maker, which we haven't seen a lot of use of, but you can make an icon. The Commons, which is this general area where people can post and bring in content from really around the world or locally. You can have restrictions there. I have my Google Drive account listed here, and that is under this little plug, but you can also add YouTube as well. So I'll show you all of the options there, at least some of them, but you can search apps in there and add it. YouTube will be allowed for elementary when embedded, but we don't have students in there yet, so I can't show you, but I know that within our filter, it was made for Canvas. So I know it works and several districts use it. And there's other text options here, indenting, bullet points. You can add tables, math equations, everything else. This may be hidden by 3 dots here, so just be aware that these options are under more. I don't necessarily know why those didn't pop up here, but my screen size may be bigger. The other wonderful option here is that, let's say we're supporting students that are struggling to get through some of the content the teacher has in there. And it could be because of its accessibility. So on every page that's published assignment, there is this accessibility checker, which again is a marvelous tool that is built in. So Brenny's won't have any, but every teacher has the ability to check if their content's accessible. And that goes from alt text to images, to color contrast. Those tend to be some of the bigger ones, to headings so students can tab through it. That tool is amazing. There's also a little HTML code one if you really want to get in there and code, and I'll do all sorts of other things there. So I'm not going to change any of this, but hopefully you get an idea of what teachers have, but students also have all of these tools on assignment. So as you're working with students, supporting students, they also will have to link their Google Drive, but they have all of these tools that they can use to be successful in this platform. Let me back out of there. Okay, so that's, again, that Rich Content Editor is a big one. If you understand the tools that are there, then that's extremely important. So going on beyond that, we also have pages and modules, which we're good about. Those are like folders and pages in It's Learning. You have the announcements, inbox, and discussions for communication. Those are also, or at least discussions can be an assignment that can be graded along with assignments and quizzes. And there's all of the analytics and pieces there. So we've gone into some of the pages. This is an image on the right here of what the template will look like, and we'll show you more there. But again, lots and lots of options that are multimedia and embedded within Canvas that show up well on any device that teachers can use and hopefully students can learn from. So these are all the rich content editor pieces that we've gone over, and just making sure that we're sticking with it. Okay, so the next piece of this is that we do have Read and Write for Google, and it is the most wonderful tool, but built into Canvas, we also have an immersive reader, and you'll see it in the top right here, and it has a little bookmark with audio there. It will pull the text from the page or whatever resource is in here, and you can read it. So I can play it down below here. I can change the speed. I can change the voice as well. And there are also other options. So this text is the default, but I can change the text size, increase spacing, change the font, change colors, lots and lots of options within here to make it more accessible, which again is just one of the many tools of why we pick this. You can also have it identify nouns or verbs, adjectives on here, and also break down syllables. So the grammar options can also be a handy tool, especially for our users that are learning English. And then reading preferences, you can have a line focus, so it blocks out some of those other things. It does have a picture dictionary, which I'll show you in a minute, but you can also translate it. So let's do French. You can do it by word, but I can also just translate the whole document. So there are lots of language options there for our end users. And then I'll show you the picture dictionary. If you hover and click on a word, it will bring up pictures. So we got school or school of fish, because we need to be complicated. All right. So that immersive reader, another great reason of why we're excited to all be moving to Canvas with some of those accessibility features that it has. All right, so the organizing part of a course. Again, first off, there will be a landing page that everyone gets to, and that should hopefully help with navigation. But you also have modules. These modules are going to be the organizing unit of all of that content within a course. You will notice that there are check marks along here. That means it's visible for students, which is important, obviously, but you can unpublish it as well if you're editing it or just don't want students to see it just yet. So modules can be organized by week, by unit, by day, whatever the teacher chooses, but it is going to be that organizational unit, in which case a page, which is that icon, a discussion board, an assignment, or a quiz down here with the little rocket are going to be organized within these modules. Teachers do have the ability to set up modules to have prerequisites so that you have to finish something before moving on to it. So it can be kind of an asynchronous sequential order in which students may have to go through here. So there are options, lots of options for teachers to be able to make this flow however they want. But again, modules are that organizing factor behind all of our courses. And again, we feel that's important for everybody to know. So another fantastic tool, if you are building or just not sure if that's what a student you're helping is seeing, there is these little glasses with student view. So if you're a student in a course, you're not going to have this. But if you are a teacher or if you have admin rights, and we'll show you how to go into courses, you'll be able to see this. But if I click this, it will show you exactly what a student should see. So you'll notice this menu option went way down because I am now a student in the course, and I can see just exactly what a student can see. So to leave that, I can leave student view on the bottom right here on this pink bar, and it kicks me back to that normal view. So again, another nice tool within here to help make sure teachers are setting things right so that they know what students can view, but then also all of us that support students and hopefully help them be successful in classrooms can also see with that student view as well. All right, let me jump back here just to make sure that we're leveraging student view. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I have the chat open and it doesn't look like there's any questions as we move forward with this, and we are moving at a good pace. So hopefully we can take questions at the end, but we'll get to administrative rights next. All right, I'm going to keep going here. All right, so admin rights. Again, some very good features within the platform that will allow a lot of our support staff to assist students in different ways. So let's say you are a special ed teacher and you have lots of students and those students have lots of courses. We are not going to put you in every course, going off of what, kind of how we organize its learning as well. But under this admin tool, which again, if you don't have it, you may get it. We will work through all of those requests and give access to those who need it. If you click that, you should see your school. So I'm just going to have this BCSE overall arching piece, and it will dump me into courses. And again, you may not see all these options on the left as there are some site settings there, but you will see courses. You can filter by term or by school. So if you're supporting multiple schools, those all should show up in these kind of school areas. Again, we're going to be looking by course, but you can also look by teacher, and then we're going to search. All of these courses are pushed over from PowerSchool. So please be aware that the naming and everything else is consistent with PowerSchool. And one view here that's important is these published check marks. So at this point, the only course visible on this first page of over 900 is going to be this automotive technology one by Sellers because it's published. If it's not published, students can't see it, and all of our staff are going to have to publish courses to be visible by students. One other thing over here on the right is you can look at statistics for those courses. There's not going to be a lot in there now, but it will tell you some basic elements that are in there, assignments, students, and file storage as well. Again, this will fill out as we get students and start using the platform for real. But let's say I do want to go into a course. So I'm going to type in Sandbox. Hopefully I can pull up something that somebody's been working in. So as I'm looking at these sandboxes, and here's some published ones, I can click on them, and unlike It's Learning, it doesn't enroll you automatically. And actually, I'm going to change my mind here. I'm going to go to a biology course. So if I go to a biology course and click it, I am almost like looked at as an observer of the course. So as somebody who supports students, I can see what's in the course, what the teacher has, and this is the template look, which is why I wanted to show you in this course. But this is just kind of a view. You don't have to unenroll yourself like you did in It's Learning. It's all here, and you can check out exactly what's going on. If you are working with the teacher to build content, they can invite you to their course and add you as a co-teacher. So please know that this admin view into courses is just kind of to look at what those courses look like. So let's go into an elementary course here. Go into Mr. Whitlock. So you'll see that elementary courses again kind of look like It's Learning with the courses there. But this will then shoot me to that elementary look that Rhonda talked about, and you will see the template there. So again, it will allow you in, and there's that student view in the top right there too that you can check out as well. This is the easiest way, most preferred way that we prefer you to go into courses and have a look is through this course tool, because the other option within admin is to look at people. So I can search all roles essentially in here, and then check out what it says for them. So if I search, let's do search my wife, you can click on the name. It gives you information about the user, and you may not be able to see all of this, but you do get to see which courses they're in, and you will be able to see kind of some of their progress, which again, isn't necessarily going to be there quite yet without any assignments or students in here. But I can click on the courses that they're in, and if you weren't sure which course to go to, this is going to show all the enrollments for a user. So students will be in there and can be able to navigate as well throughout those courses. So people and courses are going to allow you to be able to, again, support all of these students, see what's going on, and hopefully be able to give what you need. Okay, navigating a course, people. All right, the other aspect of this that we want you to be aware of is the grading pieces. So I'm going to start out by going to, let's go to this World History training course. There will be grades that will be visible on this left-hand menu here, and it'll list all of the students potentially, but if you're logging in as a student, it'll just show yours, and there are lots here. So I could type in just my name because I have grades in here. I'm not doing very well in this course, but if I click on myself here, it will tell me essentially everything that is in here. And you can even find out how you did on rubrics. So assignments can have rubrics attached to them. And hopefully I clicked a good one here. But here are the rubrics and how teachers can use rubrics if they set them up to grade. So there's one form of feedback. The other one that I feel is extremely important for you guys to know about is that, and then there's the rubric that teachers can use, is that this has a built-in notation device as a teacher grading them. So you can annotate directly on the assignment and it will save it and give it to the student. And this includes at least some assignments like It's Learning that are forced Google Docs. So there are some linkages to Google within the grader and assignments, but you can see the grade, you can see comments. They can even attach videos or audio comments on there and the grade. So some fantastic ways for teachers to give feedback for students immediately. And there are some things that are built in here to automatically grade, like in the test tools and pieces like that. So be aware of that as you're going through here. Grades, again, are going to sync to PowerSchool. So that's important to know. There has been early discussions, at least with secondary, to have all of the grades transfer over and have that Canvas gradebook be the consistent one that we use, but there still will be parent portal over in PowerSchool to check attendance and grades and other pieces like that. So just be aware of that one. Okay, the other really cool tool here that if you are coaching students or helping students that we find is extremely helpful, and I went to the wrong page. If you go to your dashboard, and again, you can go in as a student helping them, on the bottom right here, you can view grades. And again, we have some sample ones set up. So I'm getting a 70% in this world history course, and I just need to see how I can get that grade up. So this is essentially allows you to calculate a what if score. What if I do this assignment that is out of 6 points and I can plug in a 6 there, and now I'm up to a 72%. So that's already helpful. Or let's say maybe I can ask to redo this assignment and I get a 10 instead of a 5. I'm already up to a 77. There was an extra credit one on here that's not on here anymore. But let's say I do this one, get an 18. There I'm up to a B. So this will allow students, let's say they have multiple missing assignments, to put in a calculation that will calculate an estimated score if they get it, and you can simply revert it back and it will bring back their normal grade in that view. So another helpful tool that all of our students have access to, as long as the grade book's being used, to kind of predict how they will do in that course if they do particular assignments, versus just being overwhelmed maybe by how many they may have to do. So that is another wonderful tool within the grade book that we feel can be helpful. Okay, so as we kind of go down here, there is multiple resources here for the app, and there are lots of schools using it. On the app, you type in Bartholomew if you download it. There is a Canvas teacher and a Canvas student one. So if you're a teacher, download that. If you're supporting students, have them download that. And there's another big list of kind of pieces here as resources. So as kind of we wrap up here, I'm going to drop this form in the chat here. But again, if you should have access to this anyway. If there are questions that have come up, you can do this. Also put in 360s if it has to do with your account not being 100% accurate in terms of some of the pieces that you may have. But again, we cannot thank you enough for the time today and for this opportunity to teach you about some of the back-end pieces of Canvas that hopefully you can now use to support students moving forward. Let me stop my share real quick, and I'll bring back in Rhonda here to help answer questions, or if there's anything else to add. We did get a question: will this webinar be posted for us to view later? Yes, we will send out the webinar along with this presentation so that you can watch it whenever you need to. But again, as well, that help center is fantastic. Even just Googling things about Canvas is much easier than trying to find answers over its learning, so to say. Okay.
Yes.
Rhonda, anything I missed?
I just think the only thing I would say is that as we're beginning the work of planning the Summer Institute, please know that while we'll be having other trainings throughout the course of this year, we will also be offering sessions at the Summer Institute as well around instructional tech and Canvas.
Excellent. And in that time, there is another question that came up of, once students are in, they'll have access to communicate. Absolutely. We will so transfer some just kind of information coming up toward the end of the school year. More kind of that May, June timeframe will be when we start transferring courses from It's Learning to Canvas. And then PowerSchool usually flips in June at some point, in which case we can get the new courses in with the students. But we probably won't populate the students in courses until closer to the school year, just so we don't cause any rush on counseling centers or schools of changing schedules or anything like that. But yes, that will all be happening. All of the adopted resources will also be kind of integrated in the system over the summer as well. It's a lot of work, but hopefully we can have that all completed by the first day of school next year, which is a little bit away. So hopefully you can not think about that, but you'll have plenty of time, hopefully, to get comfortable with this platform before next school year.